Halloween, the spooky season. I hate it the most. Hate Halloween! I never speak to anybody on Halloween.
You don't ever talk to anyone.
Oh, what's that? Why? Why do I hate Halloween so much, you ask? Oh, it's actually quite simple. Hating on people is so fun. I'm a hater for real. Every day I wake up ready to spread negativity and hopefully ruin lives. I'm not going to elaborate any further. So, I hate Halloween, but I still have to follow that Sigma grind and capitalize on the things I hate the most, even if it makes me miserable, as long as it makes me money. Potentially. So, the other day I was out in my thinking place, and I started thinking,
who was really responsible for September 11th?
oh no, that's me. I can't believe you fell for that. It was all fake. I don't even have a thinking place. Yeah, that's right. I kind of just make things like that because I'm a 3D artist and I've got too much time on my hands. Speaking of which, that actually leads into my actual idea for this video. I find it fascinating all the different techniques and ways that horror movies elicit fear and spook you, and I was wondering, I wanted to try and put some of those techniques to work and see what I could come up with. So with Halloween right around the corner, I thought I'd try my hand with something more on the spookier side. I'm sure you've already seen the thumbnail, and yeah, it's actually true, we really got sentiment for this one. Yeah, I know. I didn't even be able to do it either, but we're moving up in the world.
We have a bright future!
And one last thing before we move on, for those of you getting a little bit stressed, oh, this video is coming out well after Halloween. Let me soothe your savage soul. So I wanted to take the classic trope of, Slenderman stalking someone through the forest and add my own little twist. Sheesh, what's going on here? So, I need two things, or, as the Spanish would say, yo necesito dos cosas. And those two things are Slenderman and trees. And of course I could model a wooded area, and that would take a long time. It would be tedious, and also just the real thing would look better. But it's too bad I don't have a wooded area. Oh wait.
Look at that, how convenient.
So I found an aesthetically pleasing spot, and since I'm such a genius, I also brought some bright tape that I could attach to the trees, so I'd have some high contrast tracking markers I could use later. And see, I knew there were beasts in these woods, tracking my scent, and without a wise, mysterious tree guarding me, every second that passed, I was closer to ending up on the battle pass. Wait, what? Oh, so you best believe I was extra glad I spent an extra 10 minutes attaching this tape to the trees, and then in post, it ended up being completely useless. But fortunately, the spirit of the wildlands let me return home safely, so I could get back on my computer and continue watching start modeling. And modeling, well, that's my area of expertise.
Today I did not jerk off before my video.
So this was the most straightforward part of the process, especially with a character as simple as this. I just took a base human model and I stripped off his face and forcibly stretched out his body, just as we once did to the sinners and witches of old. It's so crazy how things come full circle. It feels like I'm saying a lot of relatively dark things in this video. I'm sorry. I guess we can just chalk that up to Halloween spirit. I always do love this time of year. And then, of course, I had to drip him out. I decided to go with the same suit he wore in that Armani commercial from 2016. Crazy that they got Slenderman for that one, hey? 2016 was a different time. Then I had to decide how I was gonna light Slenderman inside of Blender to get him to fit with the scene. The reason it was a bit trickier is because the camera and the lights move around so much, so it's gonna be an issue getting it all to line up. And after a little bit of messing around with it, I decided trying to do the motion tracking right inside of Blender wasn't going to cut it. The shot was too long and the camera goes all over the place and there's nothing really to track, and I didn't even need Slenderman in the thing the whole time anyway. I decided I'd just quickly do a test render and see if I could figure out some method of making it all fit together straight in After Effects. After not too long in After Effects, I found out you can take a layer, make it into a 3D object, and then you can apply these lights on them directly inside of After Effects, which work all dynamically. It was perfect. It was exactly what I was looking for. I didn't really believe it. I thought it was some kind of prank. These things, I'm sure if you've ever tried creating something, these things, they never work out exactly as you want them to the first time. And that was pretty much it for the problem solving. I thought it was back to being pretty straightforward. I just chose the spots I wanted Slenderman to appear, did some camera tracking, and then put him in and then masked out to make sure he was nicely incorporated with foreground and background elements. One part that was a little bit More tricky was the part where I dapped up Slenderman. I used multiple layers for both my hand and for Slenderman. I masked out his hand from the rest of his body so that it could both be in front of mine and then I could swap back to where it was behind mine for the fist bump. Luckily there's a part where his hand doesn't overlap with mine at all, so I could easily swap between the masks, so it's not noticeable whatsoever. Like I said, pretty straightforward, but damn was it tedious. After 2 hours of masking and tracking frame by frame, I looked down at my hand and I was like, oh! Next up, always what I found to be one of the coolest, spookiest parts of the Slenderman games was the way that whenever Slenderman was around, he would look at cameras and would go,
Hey, this is Tommy again.
and make it all bug right out. Luckily, once again, After Effects had everything I needed. I made a solid layer that was just noise to look like static, and then I added a warp effect to an adjustment layer, and I could just adjust the opacity and strength of these as I went randomly to give it that warping effect. And the kind of effect. You know the one. You know that. It's something like this. I'm sure there would have been a way to automate it so I didn't have to make this randomness by hand, but I simply couldn't be bothered. I couldn't be bothered. At this point I was kind of on edge because I put all of this work in and I was looking at the product I was getting and I felt like it was missing something. It didn't have some kind of kick, some kind of punch that I felt like it really needed, you know? It just wasn't giving off the right vibe. Something was definitely missing. Oh, shite! But don't fear. I had a sneaking suspicion I knew what this thing was. It's a big thing, of course. In fact, you could say it's over 20% of the entire experience. But it's so crazy because most people don't even notice when they're noticing it. That's right, of course, I'm talking about... That was a crazy build-up and intro, hey? Like, it just really was out of place. I haven't done anything like that at all in this video. I don't know where that even came from, but let's go with it, hey? So yeah, sound. Of course, first I added in that classic Slender and staticky sound. I'm sure you've heard it a million times by now. And honestly, that could have been enough. It made all the difference. But I wanted to make my own little spin. On it, you know? Really fill it out a bit more, make it more complete and whole and nicer on the ears, or worse on the ears, I guess you could say, technically too. So I took another sound that you may have heard before, mucked around with it a little bit, sprinkled that throughout as well for some variation. After that, I had this bassy sound which I just put underneath to, you know, fill out that end of the spectrum. I had one last sound I had to add in, and I want to see if you can guess what it is. Can you guess? No, you can't guess, because one thing I have that you don't is an attention to detail. I need to record some audio of a nice crisp dap. And this sound effect really made it feel more grounded and realistic when I dapped up Slenderman. And with that, I'd say it's sounding like we're done. Hey, get it? Sound? Now, of course, as always, I'm going to play the final results for you. One thing I'll note though is these videos were made, you know, for a phone, so in this format they're going to appear a bit slender. Hey, there's another one that's too young!
No. What? Oh, damn. I didn't know you was chill like that, Slendy. Alright, yeah. Peace. Damn. Didn't know Slenderman was chill like that.
Naturally, the thought crossed my mind to make Slenderman a reoccurring character, but if I do that and Sony finds out, they will come in. So guys, peace.